he said a bunch of stuff, and then he had guns in his car. Again, this is Texas. Who doesn't?
Sure.
Cue miscongeniality. My florist has a gun,
Yep.
right?
Look, he had a gun. Of course he had a gun. This is Texas. Everybody has a gun. My florist has a gun.
We are the Armed Attorneys. Today we are talking about why you have to stand up for the rights of bad people. We have a really fascinating case that's just come down in the last couple of days that severely restricts the ability of potentially gun owners to just drive around in their cars with guns. Stick around, but before we get started, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting the like button.
All right, caveats. Bad facts make bad law. You'll hear about that. But this is a really, really extremo case of thought crimes. And the facts of this, very bad on its face. I'm not advocating on anybody's behalf.
Buckle up for some bad facts. Here we go.
But YouTube is not going to like this. So we hope we can dance our way through this and not get us stricken from the interweb. But I think it's fair to start with, all right, what's going on here? Well, we have a gentleman by the name of Aaron Swinson charged with attempted capital murder. And so that's capital level offense. It's our highest level offense for allegedly attempting to kill a police officer. Now, what facts led us to this decision? He was convicted at the district court level. Well, essentially, he got on Facebook, started saying all kinds of crazy things, got in his car, had a bunch of weapons in his car, started streaming on Facebook. I think he actually found himself near a police officer while streaming. Yeah. Police surround him.
Let me try to. Can I dance? Can I dance a little tighter in?
Yes.
I'm going to try a tighter dance. So, yes, posting on Facebook. He is very angry at a particular group of people. Those people being law enforcement officers.
Yeah.
He wants to do the worst thing imaginable to a law enforcement officer, and he's going to hunt them in order to find somebody, and then he's going to take all of those weapons in his car and he's going to use them to do that thing that he wants to do because he hates them so much. And so what does a person do who's really serious about committing, a murder?
They jump on Facebook
You
Live.
start shit posting on Facebook about it. So he's doing that, jumps in his car, right?
Yeah, starts driving around Texarkana.
And I will say, he's got, and this is they were like 118 rounds of ammunition in his car. How many times have you had 100 rounds of ammunition in your car?
Right now.
Yeah. So okay. But he's got 3 guns, one of which is a Tech 9.
Yeah. He's got a sword.
He's got a sword. So, right. I mean, was it Edwin Walker? No, it was Aaron Swinson. Tech 9 and a sword. I got confused. But so anyway,
the police get on him. Yeah, the police get on him pretty fast.
They're watching the live stream.
Yeah,
they're watching because everyone's calling 911. So the whole law enforcement of Bowie County is watching this idiot drive around talking about what he's about to do to a cop in the car. They're all just
they're on.
Let's find him.
And the high-speed chase ensues. They spike strip his car. They get him, charge him.
Can I say though? Can I just add to the fact?
Sure.
Because he's in the shit posting and in the live stream, he's just basically I'm ready to go out today for this cause. I'm just sick of it. I'm fed up. And most people who do that sort of thing,
sure.
By the time
not attention-seeking behavior,
right? By the time they actually when the shit actually hits the fan and law enforcement surrounds him and there's spike strips, he surrenders. He's nah.
Yeah.
So were you, buddy? Were you ready that day?
But we have attempt and conspiracy laws for a reason. Obviously, we want to be able to intervene before a crime is committed. But I guess the issue here is, hey, have we crossed this imaginary line in beyond mere preparation into this crime? And even though we have terrible, terrible, terrible facts, nobody here agrees with what he did, but
right.
Have we crossed that imaginary line? And it's important to point out the imaginary line because essentially they're saying threat plus drive around in car equals crime.
Right. So let's talk about
weapons.
Let's talk about attempted capital murder.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you. People watch a lot of TV and movies and they think, oh, attempted murder, attempted murder, attempted murder. Attempted murder never gets prosecuted in Texas, at least. In some states, I know that it does. Here, it doesn't. because we have attempted murder, which is generally 1 degree lower. Anytime you've got an inchoate offense, you've got an attempt offense, it's 1 punishment degree lower than the real offense. So if you were going to do a robbery, it's a, blank degree. If you're going to attempt a robbery, we go down 1 degree, so you get punished 1 degree less. So first degree to second degree to third degree, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we don't generally charge people with attempted murder because we have this other little crime in the state of Texas called aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And a deadly weapon can be anything. It can be your fists, it can be your teeth, it can be whatever. And so generally speaking, let's say that I shoot Richard. Richard lives. They're not going to charge me with attempted murder. They're going to charge me with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon because it's the exact same punishment as attempted murder. But it's a lot easier to prove because if I shoot him and he lives, all they have to prove for aggravated assault deadly weapon is I shot him. If they charge attempted murder, they have to prove I wanted to kill him. They have to prove my mental state to a greater degree. So why do it? Why stress yourself out, state of Texas, right? You're getting the same punishment, so you charge the easier crime. It makes perfect sense. So that's why we don't prosecute attempted murder. But so now let's talk about what makes a legal attempt when it comes to attempted murder.
So what happened in this case, and I think it's worth pointing out. All right, so convicted, went up to an appeals court. They said, hey, guess what? You need to, there has to be some, we look at this, what is more than mere preparation. And I will say, they point out some really, I think, well-reasoned, concrete, hey, you need to be within striking distance, need to be performing some action with weapon, plus you need to be able to prove basically the person's intent. And they keep it pretty simple, and that seems to be very common sense. And guess what? They say, all right, you need to go back and render an acquittal. The state of Texas appealed that up to the Court of Criminal Appeals. That's why we're here. And the Court of Criminal Appeals performs some of the craziest gymnastics I've ever seen in my entire life.
They do. So, essentially, what they say
truly, this was, hey, we want the outcome. How do we get there?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Which you understand, I don't like this dude.
No.
I don't like him. There's nothing likable about this human being. But you still have to protect the constitutional rights of people that you really, really don't like.
Yep.
So, essentially, the Court of Criminal Appeals in Texas, supposedly the greatest minds for criminal law on the bench in the entire state, are like, well, he said a bunch of stuff, and then he had guns in his car. Again, this is Texas. Who doesn't?
Sure.
Cue miscongeniality. My florist has a gun, right?
Look, he had a gun. Of course he had a gun. This is Texas. Everybody has a gun. My florist has a gun.
He drove around with guns in his car, and he said he was going to do this thing. And granted, there are some facts that we didn't cover in that sort of first go round. He does drive up on a police officer, but then he's live streaming and he gets a phone call, and so he cuts the live stream, takes a phone call, and drives somewhere else, bebop somewhere else, and then he's like, okay, let's go find that guy we saw, which that guy happens to be watching the live stream, and he's
right.
like, oh, I think I'm the cop he just drove up on, so I better skedaddle away. And so everybody's in on it,
Right.
but they're like, well, he said what he was going to do, and he had weapons in his car, and he was hunting, and it's all right, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, if you're that serious about hunting a member of law enforcement, do you, number one, live stream it? And number two, take a phone call in the middle of your life? Honestly, and again, this is horrific behavior, but
Yeah, but the thing about reaching this outcome-driven decision is it may have the inadvertent, maybe it's intentional, I don't know, effect of criminalizing. They are going to go after so many people because guess what? Who drives to other locations and who keeps guns in their car? There's only maybe one or two more prongs of what the court is saying you have to meet in order to attempt. Think about any gun crime at this point: aggravated assault, murder, deadly conduct. Insert
terroristic threat, deadly weapon.
Yeah, insert gun crime here. I will say they've really lowered the threshold here.
Oh yeah. When how many times on this channel have I railed against Houston Police Department?
Bazillion.
Not enough, I'll tell you that.
Sure.
But okay, I am railing against Houston Police Department, and I'm like, down with Houston Police Department. And then I drive over because I've got a client issue and I've got guns in my car. Am I attempted terroristic threat deadly weapon? Am
Well-
I attempted ag assault deadly weapon?
Well,
Like,
we would hope not.
well, I mean, I'll tell you right now, I'm not. If anyone out there is listening, I'm not. But I mean, but that's how stupid this is. That's how crazy it gets.
Yeah, and I think the great summaries out of this come out of two dissents. One, Judge Michelle Slaughter, fantastic judge. We know Judge Slaughter; she's fantastic.
She was on the bench in Galveston County when
Yes.
there were prosecutors down there.
Quoting her, she says, "Moreover, as a practical consideration, the court's opinion suggests that all future cases that anytime someone drives to a location where a victim is believed to be while armed and harboring the intent to commit an offense, an attempt has been committed."
Right.
And I think that's really it.
And I like Walker's quote
Yeah.
better.
So Slaughter does a great job.
Yeah.
She, I'll say the one kind of holdback for this, typically when you have dissents, they're kind of joining. But Judge Slaughter goes on to say, hey, if there had been more action, maybe he brandished a firearm, maybe he pointed a firearm, maybe we get there. And Walker goes a little bit further, saying, even then we don't get an attempt. But here's a different quote that I really think summarizes the case. For all the smoke he blew online to his viewers, and for whatever may have been going on in his own mind, objectively, he did no more than drive around Texarkana with guns in his car.
That's like the most diplomatic way of like the really horrible things I said offline about this guy. That's
Yeah.
a much more diplomatic way of saying it.
But truly, I mean, talking smack,
Yes.
guns in car, driving around. Now a crime in Texas?
Crime in Texas now, but which is bananas.
Yeah.
It's bananas. And like, look, I hate that the Court of Criminal Appeal has put me on this guy's side.
Sure.
I don't want to be on Aaron Swenson's side,
Right.
but here I am because, like, truly, this is not an attempted capital murder.
No, and you think about, all right,
He evaded in a vehicle. That's a felony.
get him on that.
Get him on that. There are a litany of crimes you can get him on that aren't attempted capital murder. Come on.
Well, and it's for the same reason why we, as Emily explained, we don't see attempted murders for our aggravated assault statutes. Guess what? We've criminalized, this conduct whenever there's not an intentional act. And so, hey, guess what? These, anything against a police officer at this point, I guess they're going to say is capital.
I suppose so.
Which, I mean, ultimately, I think this really comes down to, even if we don't agree with the guy, this case makes no sense.
No, it makes zero sense.
So, we know this one's a little bit controversial. I hope you're still with us here.
Though? Is it?
The facts are controversial.
I think you should be in this day and age. You should be allowed to say, I do not like the man.
Yep.
However, I like protecting his rights.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Come on. Let's have some nuance.
Yeah, but we hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video.
And as always, question and comment for us below. Until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.